and welcome here to Talk FCB, and welcome back to the channel, guys. It is 1 week to go until Barca finally can return, and coming up today, I'm going to be answering quite a lot of your questions, and I do think today we've got a really good variety in the questions. We're going to be talking about stuff like the international break, we're going to be talking about Ronald Koeman, the big games that we have to come, what we can expect from our season. We're going to be talking transfers there with Emerson, Wijnaldum, Memphis Depay, and we're also going to be talking as well about Pep Guardiola. Really interesting question there. And I'm going to be discussing Barça Femeni, who have been having, there's no other word than a stunning season. So let's get to all of that now. Come on. And if we do indeed start here with a question, I think many of us have been asking ourselves over this international break, ever since it began really, after our brilliant form before the break, with this extended period here, over 2 weeks there without playing, would that affect our form? Are we going to be able really to continue where we left off? But what I would say is, looking at the international break, looking at the way the Barca players have gone out there for their nations and performed, I think it's really promising. Even yesterday, again, more good performances from Barca players. You had Ousmane Dembele scoring a brilliant goal for France. It was an excellent finish there on his right foot across the goalkeeper. Absolutely fantastic to see. And also Francisco Trincao playing some football there for Portugal's under-21 team. He scored from the spot in that game. Another good boost there to his confidence. And of course for Spain, Busquets played well, Pedri was really good, and Jordi Alba was absolutely outstanding again on the day for them. And I just think right the way through the international break, we have seen players who are going to be carrying forward all of this confidence. And obviously all the while, we can't forget the likes of Lionel Messi is getting a full rest. He is getting some much needed time off there with the South American qualifiers not going ahead. He's had some unexpected time to just have a bit of a reset before the end of the season and the big games that we have to come. And that, for me, that's a good thing. And speaking of the crucial games to come this season, and indeed the man who is going to be leading the team forward, we're going to move on to Ronald Koeman. And a good question here, what do you think are some of Koeman's best qualities as a manager? And I think that's a very important question, and I am going to look here at both different sides of this, the good and indeed the part where I feel Koeman still does need to improve, because what I think he does really well, and I have thought this, to be honest, ever since he arrived at the club, even despite some of the bad results we've got, I've always felt as though he's a very good man manager. I think he uses his experience from playing at a big club like this. He understands the expectations, and I think that really does help him connect with the players. I think he gets the best out of them, and I think in a big club, especially at Barcelona, that is one of the most important things there. The way that you deal with those big players, the big egos that you will have in that dressing room. And I think the mentality as well, he's changed that for the better. He's made this team stronger. He's given them more belief in themselves, something that this group of players I think desperately needed. However, I have seen quite a few comments recently saying, you know what, now you're talking about Koeman staying, you're talking there about supporting Koeman, but it wasn't too long ago that myself and many other fans are saying, you know what, we've lost faith, we've lost hope in Ronald Koeman. And yeah, that is true. I'm not going to hide away from that, because you look at the game we played in the first leg against Paris Saint-Germain, we absolutely crumbled, and worst of all, we played into their hands. I think if you look at what we did in the second leg in that game, you can clearly see we should have been winning that tie. We had the ability there to take the game to PSG and actually come out on top, but we made big mistakes tactically in that first leg, and I actually did give Koeman until the next game. I didn't actually say that I'd lost hope in him after the PSG first leg. It was against Cadiz, when he named then the same team, exactly the same team. We saw the same mistakes, and we dropped vital points in the title race, but credit to him, then he changed. And that is the thing about opinions. You can change your mind. You can change your opinions and hold your hands up and say, you know what? They've done well. Because yes, Koeman was going through a very difficult period. He was making the same mistakes. But after that Cadiz game, he said, right, we have to do something different. Now we have to change. He established there a back three. That was really important there that he had to do that. And he's done that really well. And I think now I hold my hands up and say, you know what? Credit to him, because he is a guy that we do want to get behind. I've always said that I like Koeman as a person. He is a Barca legend in his own right. And of course, we all want him to succeed. Next up though, we are focusing on the transfer window to come, and in particular they're focusing on Real Betis' Emerson. What do you think of the rumours there that Laporta is willing to sell Emerson for 25 million euros to Paris Saint-Germain? And that is interesting indeed, because that is a rumour right now that has been circulating, because obviously we spoke a few weeks ago now when Laporta first came in. I think it was one of the first decisions that he made basically was, yes, we are going to pay this summer the 9 million euros it will take to gain full ownership of Emerson, given that right now, strangely, we only actually own half of the player. But obviously, just because this summer it looks almost certain now that we are going to sign him outright, we are going to pay that money, we are going to bring him in, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to stay as a Barcelona player, because indeed, there have been some quite strong rumours for quite some time actually, even before Laporta arrived, that PSG are very interested in signing Emerson this summer, with their sporting director Leonardo a very big fan of his. And that means essentially that Joan Laporta has got a big decision to make, because yes, does he pay the 9 million euros to sign Emerson and then keep him in the squad at Barcelona? Does he see him there having a future at the club, providing competition there for Serginho Dest? If that happens, what do you do then with Sergio Roberto? Do you sell him this summer? Would you really need to have 3 right backs? Would he be then a player who could go out and leave, but where would he go? What sort of offers would you receive for him? Or do you go the other way? Do you then keep Sergio Roberto but sell Emerson there for that reported fee of between 25 to 30 million, which would raise some immediate transfer funds to help bring in the targets that we need? That is one of the big decisions that Laporta will need to make. Do you keep Emerson, or do you sell him for some serious profit? Then we also have some questions about incomings in terms of Georginio, Wijnaldum, and also their Memphis Depay. Question here, which one would you sign, Depay or Wijnaldum? You must sign one because of Ronald Koeman, and that is interesting there. So basically, the question is, if I had to sign one, I'm not saying there that in an ideal world, to be honest, I would sign either of those players, but given the fact that Ronald Koeman is a big fan of both of them, he seems very insistent to bring both in, it is possible that we are going to see at least one this summer. So, which would it be? And I think when you are looking there at the two players, Wijnaldum, like I've said before, was a really impressive player in his Netherlands team. He worked really well in his midfield, and you could see where Wijnaldum would fit into Koeman's plans. But what I would say about Wijnaldum is, I don't think he's the player that he was that sort of year and a half ago at the Netherlands. You know, he's 30 years old now. He turns 31 later on this year, and I don't feel as though he has been playing at that same level at Liverpool this season. I don't think he's really hit some form. We saw that the other night. He didn't play well at all for the Netherlands, and it's a mixture of that and the fact that we've spoken about before, that he would take minutes away from our young midfielders, that probably, if I had to pick one, it would be Depay. I think certainly there in the attacking areas, we do have less options. He is somebody who could come in and score goals. I still have big concerns about exactly where he would fit and whether he is that outright number 9, but I think he would take less minutes away from young players. I think if you bring in Wijnaldum, you are going to hamper there the likes of Ilaix Moriba, you are going to hamper Ricky Puig, you might even hamper there the development of Pedri. We do not want that by any means at all. So for that reason, I would lean the way of Memphis, although it wouldn't be my ideal signing. However, up next, it is a big question indeed, because now we are going to focus on Pep Guardiola. Because the question here is, there's been some rumours saying that if Pep Guardiola were to win the Champions League with Man City, he'd want to return back to Barcelona to work under Joan Laporta. What do you think about it? And would you like to see him replace Koeman or stick with him? Well, the first thing that I would say there is, yeah, you're absolutely right, that Pep went to Man City. The whole point of him going there and the project that he saw, it was to win the Champions League. It would be the first time Man City had ever won that trophy, and that would further cement, really, Pep's reign at the very top of elite management, no question about that. That's always been his ultimate goal. So in that sense, yes, when he does win, if he does win, of course, the Champions League at Man City, that will be what he set out to do. And then with Pep, you always seem to think he's going to go on to the next venture. He's going to go on then to find another challenge elsewhere once he's done what he set out to do at the club that he's at. But one big thing that I would say here right now is that Pep was due to be out of contract this summer at Man City. His contract negotiations went on for quite a long time, but back in November, he did sign a new deal, and he's going to stay at City there until 2023, which is a much longer deal than Pep would usually sign. He only usually signs deals there 1 year extension, never really that long, 2023, and he's not really the kind of person who breaks contracts. It would have to take something there quite big, I would say, to see him leave City before 2023. And of course, when that time comes, if he did leave then, you don't know where we'll be. You know, Ronald Koeman could still be in charge. We could then be looking down the route of Xavi Hernandez. Maybe he'll be in the Barcelona dugout at that point. And of course, Laporta will still be with us. And there is no denying the relationship that Pep and Laporta have. They are so close. I'm absolutely sure they still keep in contact and they've worked really well together in the past. But I still, to be honest, every time I'm asked this question, I say the same thing, because I don't expect Pep to come back in a first-team management role, because he's still a Barca fan. He still loves this club. He's always going to be involved in it, but I still don't believe that he feels that he could come back and eclipse or even match what he previously did. He said before that the only way that he could come back would be to return to where it all started for him, at youth level, and I still, even with Laporta, I still expect him to stick to those words. But finally, guys, we do indeed have to talk about Barça Femeni, the Barcelona women's side. And like I said there in the intro, they have been absolutely sensational this season, so we got to mention them. You know, looking through the stats, I have been right the way through the season, looking at how they've been developing, and every single week, they just seem to get better and better and better. You look at the league table right now, they have won every single game they've played. 21 games played, 21 wins, but that's not even the best bit. Look there at that goal difference compared to those around them. They have scored 103 goals. 103 goals, and they've only conceded 3. Those are absolutely ridiculous numbers there from Barça Femeni. And what I really like about them is the fact that actually their goals, they're so spread around. They're not fully dependent on one player. I know that Oshola and also their Martins, very key players for Barcelona. But as you can see, they really do chip in. They've got a lot of players there. Hermoso has been really impressive as well, especially in the Champions League that Barca just played. And I just think this is a very exciting team and really good to see from a Barcelona point of view. And I would also like to say there, they are on the verge of reaching the Champions League semi-final. They played there just a few days ago. They beat Man City by 3-0. And there was a brilliant penalty save as well from Barcelona in that game. And of course, that result there in the first leg means they will head to England with a 3-goal lead. Where have we heard that before? But after reaching the semi-final last season, and this team reaching the final of season before that, these players, they know how to get the job done. And very best of luck to them. So that there, guys, is indeed your questions answered. We are still waiting for Barcelona to return, but I hope here I'm trying to provide some sort of entertainment to get you through these days. Thank you indeed for watching, guys, and thank you indeed for all of your questions. Of course, we're going to be talking more right throughout this week on all Barcelona matters, and I will see you then for plenty more. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça!